All right, so get this. There's this market analysis out there, and it says Bitcoin could take like a major plunge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, down to $76,000. Now, is that a reason to panic or like a chance to buy low?
Right.
That's what we're going to try to figure out.
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what's really interesting about this prediction, though, is it's not just like some, gut feeling, right?
Yeah.
It uses a bunch of these technical indicators.
Okay.
But also it draws these parallels to how Bitcoin behaved around the 2016 presidential election.
Wait, the 2016 election?
Yeah.
You're saying there's like a connection between Donald Trump winning and the price of Bitcoin?
Well, that's what some analysts believe.
Wow.
They observed that Bitcoin, it surged to $108,000 right after the election, but then it corrected down below $90,000. And the theory is that this wasn't just like random market movement.
Right.
They speculate that some really savvy investors, maybe even like market makers, right? They capitalized on all these new investors that were jumping into Bitcoin after the election.
Hold on. So you're saying these new investors were kind of like used, like their rush to buy in provided a way for other people to sell high and get out?
Yeah.
That's kind of unsettling.
Well, yeah, it definitely raises some eyebrows about how certain players in the crypto world operate, right?
Right.
And this analyst that we're looking at,
Yeah.
they think this pattern might be repeating itself now. They point to a couple of technical indicators like this thing called the double top formation.
Okay, double top formation.
Yeah.
Now, for those of us who don't speak Wall Street,
Right.
what does that even mean?
Okay, so think of it like this. You're hiking up a mountain, you reach a peak, then you go down a bit, climb back up,
Yeah.
and hit that same height again.
Okay.
So you're forming two peaks, right?
Yeah.
Like a double top.
Yeah.
And in trading this can signal that the upward trend is like losing steam,
So it's like it's hit a ceiling.
Exactly.
So that double top is basically a warning sign that things might start to go down.
Yeah, things might be about to head downhill.
Okay.
Exactly. And then there's another indicator they're using called the week-off distribution. Now, it's a little complex, but basically it suggests that, like, big players might be quietly selling off their Bitcoin.
Okay.
Creating this downward pressure on the price.
So we've got these warning signs flashing.
Right.
But why $76,000?
Yeah.
What makes that number so significant?
Well, historically, $76,000 has been a strong support level for Bitcoin. It's a price point where in the past a lot of buyers have stepped in.
Yeah.
And that has either stopped or even reversed a downward trend.
So it's kind of like a safety net.
Yeah.
Like a price floor.
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
Where people are confident enough to buy in.
Exactly. And the analyst uses this phrase, mopping up liquidity.
Mopping up liquidity.
Yeah.
To describe what could happen at that price.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to need you to break that down for me.
Okay.
What does that even mean?
So it's basically a colorful way of saying that at $76,000, there might be a lot of buy orders just waiting to be filled. So imagine like a giant sponge soaking up all the excess sell orders.
Okay.
This creates like a more stable base.
Got it.
For the price to potentially rebound from.
Okay, so I'm starting to see the picture here.
Right.
So this dip isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
It could actually be an opportunity.
That's what the analyst is suggesting. They believe this potential dip could create a really attractive entry point.
Okay.
Particularly for institutional investors.
Yeah.
Who might have been waiting for a chance to buy in at a lower price.
Interesting. So we've got this possible drop to $76,000.
Right.
Which could then be followed by this rebound driven by big investors.
Yeah, potentially.
But hold on. Where does Bitcoin stand right now?
So as of February 2nd, 2025, when this analysis was published, Bitcoin was trading at $99,659. It had seen a 2.74% decline in the past day.
Okay.
Which, on its own isn't necessarily a big deal.
But I have a feeling the trading volume tells a different story.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
The daily trading volume had actually dropped by a significant 31.29%.
Wow.
Yeah. So this could indicate some hesitation among traders.
Right.
Like they're not as confident in the current upward momentum.
So there's a bit of uncertainty in the air.
Exactly.
Like a sense that things could go either way.
Exactly. And the analyst points to this key resistance level at $106,000.
Okay.
So for Bitcoin to really take off again, it needs to break through that ceiling. until then, it's sort of in a holding pattern.
All right. I'm definitely getting a clearer picture now.
Good.
This whole connection to the 2016 election,
Yeah.
the technical indicators, and the potential for a dip and rebound, they make me think about the bigger picture here.
Right. It really highlights how unpredictable the crypto market can be.
Yeah.
And how factors outside of just technology,
Yeah.
Even politics can play a role.
Exactly. So how about we dive into that a bit more?
Sure.
If this prediction about Bitcoin plays out, what would that tell us about the relationship between political events and the crypto market?
That's a good question. It would suggest that political events, especially those that have global reach,
Right.
can have a real impact on the crypto market. I mean, think about it, right? Big political events, they create uncertainty.
Yeah.
And uncertainty can really shake things up in any financial market,
Yeah.
crypto included.
Because it affects how people feel about the whole market in general.
Exactly.
Like their confidence,
Yeah.
their willingness to invest.
Precisely. And remember, cryptocurrencies are still relatively new.
Yeah.
Compared to traditional markets.
Right.
They haven't weathered as many economic cycles or global events.
Right.
So we're still learning how they respond to these kinds of external pressures.
So it's like crypto is still figuring out where it fits in.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it both exciting and a bit nerve-wracking for investors.
Totally. Okay, so we've got this possible connection between politics and crypto.
Right.
But aside from elections, what other political factors could potentially influence the market?
Well, you've got things like regulatory changes, right? Governments could crack down on crypto.
Right.
Or on the flip side, they could embrace it.
Yeah.
You've also got geopolitical tensions, trade wars, even something like a major pandemic.
Right.
All of these things can send shockwaves through global markets.
Yeah.
And crypto is definitely not immune.
It's like that butterfly effect, right?
Exactly.
Like something small happens in one part of the world,
Uh-huh.
but then it creates this huge impact somewhere else.
Exactly. Everything's interconnected.
So for someone listening to this, maybe thinking about investing in Bitcoin, what's the takeaway here? Should they be factoring political events into their investment strategy?
Well, I think it'd be unwise to ignore them completely. But how can you even predict those kinds of events?
Right.
It seems impossible.
It's definitely a challenge. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I think it starts with staying informed,
Okay.
keeping an eye on what's happening in the world,
Uh-huh.
understanding the potential ripple effects
Right.
of major political events, and being ready to adjust your strategy as needed.
It's being flexible, being adaptable, and not getting caught off guard.
Absolutely. The crypto market is constantly changing.
Yeah.
To succeed in this environment, you have to be able to roll with the punches,
Right.
adjust your approach, and keep learning.
This has been really insightful.
Oh,
We
good.
explored this intriguing prediction about Bitcoin potentially dropping to $76,000.
Right.
We've looked at the technical indicators behind it and even discussed how political events like the 2016 election could be influencing the market.
We also talked about the importance of understanding market volatility
Right.
and managing risk, especially when these unpredictable events come into play. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a question to ponder.
Okay.
This whole idea of the Trump effect
Yeah.
and the potential for politics to impact crypto.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, is this just the tip of the iceberg? What other factors might be at play that we haven't even considered yet?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
And it's something worth thinking about.
Right.
As cryptocurrencies become more mainstream, their connection to global events and influences will likely only grow stronger.
Yeah.
And this raises some really interesting questions about the future of crypto,
Right.
its regulation, and its role in the global economy.
It's not just about understanding the technology anymore.
Right.
It's about understanding the bigger picture,
Exactly.
the global forces at play.
Precisely. The crypto world is no longer this isolated entity. It's
Right.
becoming integrated with the global economy.
Yeah.
And that means we need to start thinking about crypto investments within a much broader context.
And on that note, we'll leave you to contemplate that thought. Thanks for joining us as we explore this fascinating corner of the Bitcoin world.
My pleasure.
Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay ahead of the curve. Yeah, it really makes you wonder what the future holds for Bitcoin and the whole crypto space.
Yeah.
If a presidential election can potentially, send ripples through the market, what else could...
Right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like we're trying to predict the weather patterns of a brand new planet.
And if this analysts' prediction about the dip to $76,000
Yeah.
turns out to be right, it would really solidify that connection
Right.
between these seemingly unrelated events.
Yeah, it would definitely add fuel to the fire. But even beyond that specific prediction, the bigger point is we need to start paying attention to these external factors.
Right.
Crypto isn't operating in a vacuum.
It's not just about the tech anymore.
Right.
So for someone maybe just starting out, just dipping their toes into crypto investing,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them?
Well, first and foremost, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Okay.
Diversification is key, especially with something as volatile as crypto.
So don't bet the farm on Bitcoin, basically.
Exactly. And secondly, do your research.
Okay.
Don't just blindly follow the hype or listen to what someone on social media is telling you.
Right.
Take the time to understand the technology,
Yeah.
the market dynamics,
Uh-huh.
and yes, even the potential impact of those external factors we've been talking about.
So knowledge is power.
Exactly.
But even with all the research in the world, there's still a degree of uncertainty.
Of course.
You can't predict the future.
Right. And that's where risk management comes in.
Okay.
Only invest what you can afford to lose.
Right.
And be prepared for the possibility that you might lose it.
Yeah.
Crypto is still a very young asset class. It's exciting, it has huge potential, but it's also risky.
It's a bit of a wild ride.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
But for those who are willing to do their homework, manage their risk, and buckle up for the ride, it can be incredibly rewarding.
Well said. I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on today.
Yeah, hopefully.
We've explored this fascinating prediction about Bitcoin potentially dipping to $76,000.
Right.
We unpacked the technical indicators, and we even ventured into the uncharted territory of how political events might be influencing the crypto market.
Yeah, it's a fascinating area.
It is.
And most importantly, we highlighted the importance of staying informed.
Yes.
Being adaptable and approaching crypto investing with a healthy dose of caution.
Right.
And a willingness to learn.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this exploration of Bitcoin and the forces that shape its destiny. Stay curious, keep learning, and we'll catch you on the next one.